what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Tuesday night show presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar that is just north of Lansing, north of Frandor by the Lansing-East Lansing border. I was there today for lunch, had an outstanding Big Island bowl, this great sushi bowl, one of the many things they do well at Front 43 and Cask and Company. Jason, how you doing, brother?
I'm not talking about Michigan.
So wall-to-wall Lions coverage, right, for an hour? Baumgardner, you can talk about the Lions.
We're going to have Nick Baumgardner on to talk a little MSU-Michigan football, a little Detroit Lions. There's nobody who, I think, in our sphere of Michigan State and Lions coverage who knows football better than he does. And thankfully, he also knows Lions, so we don't have to just talk Michigan State football.
Yeah, we don't have to ruin everybody's spirit, even though I'm sure Michigan fans are listening to this podcast, because I know on a good authority that one Michigan fan listens, not just because he has a friend that does the show, because he likes to hear Michigan State fans suffer. So we can do it.
Do you think Michigan fans this week, I mean, obviously there is joy in beating Michigan State. Is there more joy in beating Michigan State when they are this down and just maybe humiliating them beyond anything when they've already gotten rid of their coach? There's going to be a transition. Like, I don't know if there's as much joy in this as there would be in beating them when they thought they had hope.
I think there's something to that. I think, Michigan fans want to beat Michigan State to a pulp no matter what, but I think there's unfinished business with Tucker that they probably wanted revenge on Tucker a little bit too. So it's going to be, beating Harlan Barnett and Michigan State the way the program is right now, congratulations, but it can't be that exciting for you.
Especially when you're at the top and there are other things to do. It's just not. Yeah, if you're at Michigan, this is not the pinnacle of your season, but it's a part of it. I think obliterating Michigan State in business-like fashion is sort of part of the journey of this season if you're Michigan.
But what was the point spread last year?
That's a great
22?
question.
I think it was 22.
Was it that high?
I believe so.
Wow, that's really high.
I thought it pushed.
It might have.
Year.
And 3 years ago it was 25, and Michigan State won.
Yeah.
The difference between that and now is
a lot.
Yeah. In 2020, it was a weird year. We didn't know shit. Michigan played one game before the Michigan State game. Michigan State played one game. Michigan State threw like 7 interceptions against Rutgers, or 7 turnovers. I can't remember if it was interceptions or turnovers. And Michigan pummeled what we didn't know was a horrible Minnesota team. Michigan wasn't any good. We just didn't know shit. I think halfway through the season this year, we actually know a lot more, even if Michigan hasn't been tested. So I don't think it's but
where are we at for the fan base? That's what I'm interested, because I just see Spartan 18770 tweet out, "You can either support the team or fuck off."
Well, I think there's some of that.
With a picture of Sparty.
I haven't talked.
We have to fuck off. Do I have to sit there and watch the whole game? I will.
I'll tell you how desperate it is, how dire it is, how much like Tom Izzo. I don't think he's done one of these inter-squad scrimmages on a football Saturday since, I don't know. It's certainly, I remember them in the 90s. I've heard that some people remember them in the early 2000s. I wasn't around. It's been a long time. It used to be a thing. The football program got its ass kicked. You waddled over to the Breslin Center. You got to watch the basketball team, and you felt better when you went home. This year, they're playing it at 2:30 before the game. I don't think if Michigan State hadn't fired Mel Tucker, Michigan State is 5-1, and everything was going well, if they would be playing this scrimmage, because they just had Midnight Madness. Next week, they have an exhibition game Wednesday. Then they have another one Sunday. There is no need for this other than let's give people another reason to be on campus, to go to the game, to not give up their tickets, to support the football team. We'll give them a basketball show.
How about a Cohen Carr dunk contest? Can we do that? I'll go to that too.
Well, there might
Let's
be
keep distracting ourselves. I like it.
This will be a little more.
Got a good idea going.
If I recall these, and I went to a few in the 90s. I actually saw like Thomas Kelly, who's now a coach, play in one of these in like 95 or 96. If I recall, these are much more serious than Midnight Madness. Like, this will be an actual like scrimmage. Like they will go at each other. It'll be more like a game than anything else you'll see.
Well, let's not get crazy here. We don't want any Liz Frank injuries to show up.
But no, it's fun in that sense. Like I enjoy it more than like Midnight Madness. I always enjoyed the scrimmaging part. Now, not every year has a Cohen car to put on a dunk contest, so that's a little different. When you have a Cohen car, you do the dunk contest, and everybody.
Doug Anderson versus Cohen Carr.
No,
where's Doug? The
story I want to do now, and I can't remember if I mentioned it here or not, but I think I'm going to talk to Jason Richardson, Shannon Brown, Doug Anderson.
Yeah.
And I'm missing one other I was thinking of doing it with. But the great dunkers, either at Michigan State
Did you say
or
Shannon Brown?
Yeah, Shannon Brown, Jason Richardson, and Doug Anderson for sure. And get into like what they think of Cohen Carr, their grading of Cohen Carr, the dunker. Because those are the guys whose opinions really matter, right?
Sure.
Those are the guys who did it at an elite level. And, we can stand on the ground and go, man, that's awesome. I like donuts. But it's different.
But do you think any of the former guys are going to say, like, yeah, I mean, they are pretty crazy, the dunks that he does.
I think they might. Some of the MSU guys have already said, that
all those dudes are like, this is insanity.
Yeah, this is different. Yeah. This is a different deal than anything we've seen. So, it was one of them I talked to said that, Cohen Carr said they all admit that Miles Bridges wasn't as high as him. Now, Miles Bridges is probably not somebody I'm going to talk to for this story.
Yeah,
Miles got his own shit going on. We're not going to use him as a source these days. But before we get to Nick Baumgardner, so we're going to talk to Nick Baumgardner about Michigan State. We're going to talk some Lions with him. Then we're going to talk to Harry and pick the games this week against the spread, as we always do. Before we get to that, you had a hell of a gambling night yesterday, my friend.
I did. The World Series, not World Series, the NLCS, ALCS, NLCS was on, Jesus. And the Monday Night Football game, I had Lions -6.5. I didn't believe all the sharp people. I just figured, we talk about sharps. They know a lot of stuff, but they go by numbers a lot. I just thought they were off on that. I took the Lions -6 and a hook, had Cowboys money line. Of course, Mike McCarthy gambling on that motherfucker. I can't believe I actually won that one. But the baseball game, I decided to throw a little single game parlay. I don't really do that. I know that I posted these on my Twitter, and people Graham hates that I do that, but I don't post as many as I used to. I do win some, but I like when people post and send me their wins because it's us against the sports books, man. So if you win and I lose, I'm happy for you. That's what it's all about. Anyway, so I had Corbin Carroll, who never makes an out. So I figured a single out of Corbin Carroll, and Schwarber, who hits a $170 but has 50 home runs. I'm like, Zach Gallen, I could see him giving up just pitching a meatball up there. So anyway, it cashes in the first fucking inning.
It's incredible.
Now here's the gambler. Here's the degenerate feeling. Here's my first fucking thought, and this is the exact 1-800-GAMBLER sponsor should be right here. I was bummed because it was over. For a split second. For a split second, I was like, "Oh shit, man!"
Yeah, I kind
of wanted to sweat.
Yes, yeah.
Believe me, that subsided as I saw, the winning ticket. But it's weird that you feel that, as a gambler, to have that kind of even feeling at all.
It's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons I enjoy betting unders in soccer, and it's sick, but you have to see it all the way out. You know what I mean? You're like, it might be 2.5, and it's 0-0, and you feel real good at halftime, and then a goal goes in early in the second half. You're like, eh.
But that can work the opposite, though, if you have, over under 2.5, and it's like...
Well, if you have the over and it goes
3-0 in the first half or whatever, yeah.
Totally.
So it works both. It just made me laugh. I want to tell people that the gambling thing is a sickness, but yeah, to have that feeling go through your head is crazy.
But what it is it tells you, you're not somebody who, yes, you want to make money gambling, but you're not doing it to make money.
No.
You're doing it for the action. And so when the action goes away... And all of a sudden it's like, wait a second. And then you feel this hole.
The goal is to not deposit. So if I can sit there and then flip that into some college football and have a good time and it doesn't get out of hand, I understand it can get out of hand, but for me, I somehow have it figured out. I don't know. You never know. 2 weeks from now, I could be stealing computers in here. Who knows?
Well, it's good enough. These things go missing. If all of a sudden I come here, there's no microphone. And Jason's got 6 new Muscat flannels instead.
Yeah, it's good now, but 2 weeks from now when I lose in the World Series.
Yeah.
But it was a fun night. Those are the nights. It's like golf. You hit a good shot. You want to play golf again. You hit fucking 2 feet, duff it, and golf is ass. So it's just it can go both ways. But last night was fun.
Yeah, and again, we'll get into the Michigan State-Michigan betting. I wouldn't bet this game, period, because and if you had to bet one way or another, I'd say Michigan's the safer bet. But it is a different type of game. And we were talking to some of the MSU players today, and they'll tell you about the first time they got hit in this game and how different that was. The intensity on the field, the guys who, in some cases, have known each other for a long time. It is a season that stands on its own in certain ways. And, I think Michigan State, because of that, regardless of what happens this week, is probably going to get his ass kicked in Minnesota. I think they are really – this is the last stand, right? This is the Alamo here. But I think that this week they will get really up for it. They'll put up a fight, and these are still college kids against college kids. And if Michigan State plays the game that they haven't played yet, which is a little more disciplined, and somehow gets Michigan not to be able to pull away early, maybe this thing isn't a complete boat race. I would tell you right now, though, you could bet your mother's house that Michigan State can't win this game. I do not see a way Michigan State can win this game.
But you think they could cover the
I think they could cover the spread. I think you could have a 31-10 blowout that never felt in doubt, if that makes sense.
And is that because of last week at Rutgers before the collapse in the fourth quarter? Michigan State did look decent, right? I mean,
they're not completely devoid of talent.
But do the players still care? I know people hate that question, but I'm just asking.
They do this week. And that's why this week in some ways it's not great because Michigan is really, really good and it could get ugly. But it's good in the sense for Michigan State coming off what happened at Rutgers. It allows you to refocus because this week on its own is a big deal regardless of what else is going on in your season. Now, whether we'll get into a little of this more with Nick here. And then Harry as well. We're going to take a really quick break, come back with Nick Baumgardner talking Michigan, Michigan State, and Lions. Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Front 43 and Cask & Company.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. Very pleased now to be joined by a man who knows football as well as anybody I know in the media and knows offensive line play as well as anybody I know and cares about it, well, as much as anybody I know other than Chris Solari. The great Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic. Nick, how you doing, man?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. So I want to ask you about this Michigan team. Are they as good as they look through half a season against subpar competition?
I mean, it's really difficult. It's the same question as last year in some ways, right? I think, I don't think it's much different at all. I think the schedules are pretty much similar in terms of they kind of rolled through a nothing in the non-conference and then, the back half or whatever, the Big Ten. But, I mean, I think if you look at the numbers, actually two parts there. I think the offensive line, actually, I don't think is quite as good. I think it's a little bit less than. Not to say that it's bad or even below average, because it's still very good. But I think that they are a little bit less than right over the ball, like the center was a little bit less than. But I think if you balance that out, McCarthy is so much better this year than he was a year ago in terms of his confidence, in terms of what he's seeing and what they're asking him to do. So their offense is really opened up in so many ways. So in areas where they're weaker, maybe it doesn't really even matter. So, I think they're every bit as good as their numbers show. Number two seems fine to me. I mean, whatever at this point, right? But they look like a playoff team. I don't see three teams better than them, and I think that's a big part of it.
So, from what you've seen from Michigan State, is there anything that MSU has done so far that you would think could threaten Michigan, that could, I personally don't think Michigan State has the difference makers to make Michigan uncomfortable.
I agree. Does it sound better, by the way?
Yes, it sounds quite a bit better. Yep.
Okay, good. By the way, good. I switched up the headset. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that it's a real challenge because I think it's hard for Michigan State right now. I think if they were more stable, obviously, and they had more of a we know what we're doing here offensively, and I think that they're maybe getting closer in some ways. Then you look up and you say maybe they're not. But the one thing that sort of bothers Michigan, is sort of like I just said, the center over the ball and inside. Those guys can be a little susceptible if you're going to stun them or come up the middle or whatever. And if you really get after McCarthy, and like I said, if you stack and can sort of take away some of those bully yards and put them into now it's 3rd and 8. I mean, this is still a team that's not really used to playing in 3rd and 8 and all that sort of thing. But on the flip side of that, like you got to do something with that if you're going to get a punt. And I just don't know if they've got the cohesion. I would say really because that's what it takes. You want to beat a team like Michigan, and it's the same conversation right now with this current Michigan teams. It's been with so many of those Ohio State teams. You have to be pretty darn near perfect, I think, with your execution. And we haven't seen that yet for Michigan State or anything even close to that to this point.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. Eventually, you just are this. I mean, you can say, well, if they did this, they're good enough to do this. Yeah, but you're not doing that. And the other thing is they don't have. I mean, I don't see anybody on offense that strikes fear into Michigan. Like, I don't see a single player. There's no. I mean, if Keon Coleman had stuck around, there'd be a guy that they'd have to account for. And Malik Carr has shown brief flashes of that. A few plays at Iowa before he got hurt. But then he's not really a factor at Rutgers. Like they just don't have that guy. I don't see that guy anywhere.
No, it's really difficult. Like Carr was the one guy that was coming to mind, and Keon was the first one. And then you're like, well, he's gone. You have to keep reminding yourself of that. So you're like, nope, that's not really a thing. I know. I mean, because I think that the recipe for Michigan State to beat a team like Michigan is still sort of the same as it's always been. It's that you have to be tough enough. In the trenches to sort of make it a grunt game and just sort of take their athletes out of it and just say, let's get into a fist fight because they will stand there and do it with you. Like that's the thing with them, right? And I think D'Antonio over the years when they were really together, they figured it out. They got enough line talent in there. And Michigan really, they've changed coaches, but the same attitudes are the same. They'll stand in there. They've done it to every team they've played until they break you. And if they don't break you, they'll beat you 7-3. And it's just like, I don't know if Michigan State has enough guys on the other side in current moment, right, to do anything to capitalize. So it's tough to see anything happening there, especially with all the things going on outside of it.
So that's the hope for Michigan State is that they don't break somehow. I mean, their defense has shown some signs, and that Michigan hasn't been in a game where a team hasn't broken yet, and that they don't handle it well somehow. Like
that's exactly right, and I think there's evidence over the years. I mean, Jim Harbaugh has made decisions in games that have been, pretty ridiculous in time. I mean, you look at the TCU game in the playoff last year, how they started out the goal line. Like, there are times where you can catch him being too much of a bully or too much of a bravado or whatever. Like, Nebraska game this year was a great example, I thought. They won that game on the first, 2 drives in the first quarter. They come out and they had, 3 or maybe 4 third and short and fourth and shorts. And Harbaugh got in the the 13 personnel, which is the 3 tight ends and the 1 back, and just shoved it right down their throat all 4 times and converted all 4 of them. And I'm like, that's the game. You can't stop that. It's over. And it was. They rushed for like 300 yards. Game was over, blah, blah, blah. So like that, you have to be able to take their best in those critical short yardage moments. And sometimes that can rattle the sideline. I know that they don't like to say that, but that's that's the reality over the years.
If you were Michigan State's administration, if Alan Haller called you tomorrow and said, Nick, I need help. I need help figuring out the identity for what I want in my next coach, what would you tell him?
God, it's really difficult, because my answer to him would probably be to take some of what the best parts of what the best Michigan State teams that you've seen in modern times, like, a coach that understands the value of recruiting every area like D'Antonio did and really teaching like D'Antonio did. But I'm not sure if doing it the same way, like we got to get a defensive-minded guy in here that does it this way and blah, 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 like from the Saban tree. My thought would be, and I know this is probably going to sound crazy to some, maybe it will, is to look at how Wisconsin and sort of even to a degree Iowa, how they recruit and develop. And I think that those are the teams right now, if I'm Michigan State, in terms of the money, in terms of all the things. Like when Wisconsin is right, they are, and you know this, Graham, they're one of the most underrated things in sports, Wisconsin football. Like when they're right, it's a very consistent, repeatable, type of thing that you don't apologize for it. You are who you are, and you get very good at it. And I think at Michigan State, you're in the Midwest. You can recruit good line talent here. Always can, always have been able to, and I think you always will be able to. But I think that's where it sort of has to start. I'd like to see them go somewhere where they sort of build from the inside out, but maybe on offense first. Like maybe start, someone who knows how to create a power. Lance Leipold gets brought up a lot, right? The Kansas coach. I think that'd be if they could convince a guy like that. That seems like a really good idea to me because at least you're getting an identity of what you're doing on offense. You can recruit to it. And then the defense in today's era just has to sort of keep up with what the other side's doing, the way the football is sort of designed now. So that would be my 2 cents on it. But, it's tough right now, too, because there's so many, as you know, Graham, so many moving parts going on there. I have no idea what my advice to him would be other than, like, batten down the hatches, buddy. It's a long road.
Well, yeah, and outside of Urban Meyer, nobody's going to be happy initially. And that's the other that's the other problem. I'm with you on this sense. Like I would try, especially as Wisconsin makes the mistake of trying to run and shoot right now. I would take advantage of that, and I would create an NIL for offensive linemen. Like that would be my focus on NIL, where we are going to pay linemen like quarterbacks. You're going to come here, and we are going to build it, and so we dominate up front. And I do agree that an offensive coach first might be the best way to go. It'll be interesting to see how I understand the Urban Meyer allure. I just would still be very, very surprised if that winds up being the move at some point. All right, let's talk happier things for all fans of football in Michigan. The Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
I'll ask you the same thing I asked about Michigan. How good are they?
So I think the Lions actually have more evidence that they're pretty darn good. I mean, they are. I think pretty clearly the favorite in the NFC North. I think it almost looks like they could run away with that. I mean, I thought for a week or two Minnesota was maybe going to hang in there long enough to bother them, but they don't look like they want to be there at all. So the rest of the division isn't very good. They've sort of already beat a couple teams. They were 1 or 2 plays away, I guess maybe 1 from being undefeated. They've already played in some tough environments. So Tampa's defense was no joke. Those are back-to-back wins that were sort of controlling. They're good. I mean, every metric says exactly the things that we see on TV, and it's that especially when they're playing a team that they can get on top of with the run game, like they're really hard to play against. And I think that's sort of the thing that I've taken away from it. They remind me, it's not the same because obviously you don't have the same quarterback, but all the years that like the Ravens were really good, and you'd look up and you'd say, man, they're like 13-3. What the hell happened here? And it was because they just had like this awesome line, and they played really good defense, and the quarterback never made mistakes. And like that's sort of what the Lions feel like to me. And I know that's a foreign concept to a lot of people because we're not used to that, but like that's exactly what Dan Campbell wanted. This is what they are. I mean, this is what it's so far, and it's hard to argue with anything they've done to this point. And you almost wonder if some of it goes the other way because they've gotten some nice bounces too. I mean, they've earned their luck, but we'll see. I mean, they've gotten through some injuries too, but I do think they're pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a weird guy with NFL injuries. Like I think the Montgomery injury is a blessing, because if he didn't, he would have got hurt in week 12. Now he gets hurt now and he'll be back by week 12. Like I think injuries, I wouldn't even start my starting secondary until week 11. I would. You guys are sitting out. You know,
DJ Gardner-Johnson. I mean, hey, he could be back in like Christmas or something.
Yeah,
you know, and people forgot about that. It's like, hey, I mean, that's like a free agent signing.
You want,
the year.
Yeah, you got to time the injuries, and I wouldn't play half my team if I had a quarterback who I knew could get us through the first few weeks. The question on Jared Goff is, has he actually grown into a quarterback that is like, I mean, I think some of the answers will come in the playoffs. They're going to have to come in tougher games and tougher weather, and we'll really find out. But is he just playing really well, or is this guy grown into something that they're going to have to invest in, and to what level do you invest?
Yeah, that is a great question, and I think the answer is probably yes. That they're going to have to do it, and the answer and the question of what you do is I don't know. I think at the beginning of the year, you know, when they looked at like the Daniel Jones extension, wherever he got, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I don't think that they were too keen on, you know, maybe looking at anything in that neighborhood for Goff. But I think that as he's continued, this has been, you know, this game last Sunday was one of the best he's ever had. I mean, in terms of, you know, with a high volume and everything else, you know, I don't know if I would say that he can replicate that level of efficiency in terms of, and he hasn't, I mean, to be that accurate and to be that sort of like confident down the field. There are still games where some of that can be a bit of a slog for him. So I think that is a tough question. I do think you do have to invest in him, though, because I think that, you know, if you don't, you're sort of ignoring the fact that he's been, you know, at least a top-ish tier quarterback in the last, you know, year and a half, whatever it's been, at least this season and most of last season. And then on top of that, it's like, well, what do you have behind him? You have Hendon Hooker, who still hasn't really done anything yet in terms of, like, you know, rehab is just about ended. So you don't know what that's all about. I think that you still can get a lot more out of Jared Goff. And I think the question is, you know, two-part. What does Jared Goff want to do? Because, I mean, he has said a few times, I really love playing for Dan Campbell, and that's kind of all I really want to do at this point because, you know, he sort of resurrected his career. But I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see, too, if, like, another team out there says, hey, man, like, he's worth it more to us than he is to you, and we think, I don't know, maybe somebody could come in and swoop him because he's a quality starting quarterback in the NFL, and I think that, as the old rule always goes, there ain't that many of them. So there's not 32 of them. So, you know, that's always a factor, and I'm very curious to see what that number is. But yeah, I do think they have to do something. I just don't know what it will be. Yeah,
I mean, I think it helps that he's been paid. This isn't the first deal. He's not, you know, he's been a very wealthy person to this point. He probably has an understanding of, I mean, because the one thing that you got to explain to him is, if you take up a certain percentage of our salary cap, and he already does at this point, but they haven't had to pay Penei Sewell and things like that yet.
100%. Yeah.
If we can't be good because we're paying you, then you have to be great to elevate everybody. And if you and then if we're not, then and maybe you don't care because you're getting the money anyway. But I think there's some really interesting conversations that happen with him because you're right. Daniel Jones, I think, was 4 years, $160 million. That is that's a scary deal.
I don't think they want to do that. I still don't think they want to do that. But I think to your point, Graham, I definitely think I could see them going to him and being like, could you give us a little bit of a deal here? You know what I mean? Like, or let's backload it and incentive load it or whatever. Like, because we want to win with you. Because I think that they could win with him. I really do. I think that like you said, if they pay all the guys that they need to pay, I think that could happen in this next year or two. And then you make a push. Who knows what happens? But, you know, beyond that, we start to get dicey because you're in your 30s and who knows. But at the same time, some of these quarterbacks can play in their 30s. Who's to say? If you can pay all these linemen and keep him healthy and upright, and he's still seeing the field the way he is, I mean, he could play for a little bit longer, I think.
Yeah, I wonder why none of these owners have come up with the plan, like sort of the Matt Ishbia plan separately, where you tell a guy, we're only going to pay you $6 million a year. But you know what? We're going to give you an endorsements through this guy is another 60, and it's not going to come on our book. Like, I don't understand how nobody's been creative with that yet. Like, you don't have a friend at State Farm?
In some sort of rule somewhere. Like the dirty secret is the NFL rule book is like just as layered as the NCAA.
Yes, it's the reason
NCAA one, or if not worse in some ways.
Yeah, I would.
But yeah, it's probably illegal.
I would get busted for a lot of stuff if I was in those shoes. When you look at the NFC, and we've seen the best of the 49ers.
Right.
I mean, it looks like the Lions, barring injury, are going to win this division, which is crazy to say in week 6 after 6 games. But you've seen the best of the 49ers and the Eagles, the Cowboys. I'm missing somebody else who would be in that.
That might be it in the NFC. honestly.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now.
how do they – and obviously the 49ers are beat up. If there are injuries, it makes a difference. Right. Are the Lions – and if the Lions get home field, that makes a huge difference, obviously. But
it does.
And I guess that is something that if that makes winning week in and week out and trying to really balloon this record worth it beyond the division, right? Because if you can somehow be the home field team, that's everything.
I mean, really, at this point, with the way that where they're at and everything else, and you remember that they're in year 3 of Campbell and Holmes, I think the goal is getting in and winning a playoff game. And if you just do nothing more than that, like, I think everybody's like, oh, God, well, you won a playoff game for the first time in God knows, whatever, you advanced. Like, and then to me, it almost feels like anything beyond that's gravy. Obviously, you don't want to say that because the record could be what it is, and who knows what the matchups and all that, and every opportunity should be, taken for what it is. But I agree with you. I think that if you can stretch your legs here as much as you can, get one of those home playoff games, and just get that monkey off your back to your, like, you won a playoff game. Everybody in this building knows what that's like now. Like, that is so valuable, right? Everybody here knows what it takes to not only get there, but win a game in advance, and knows what that feels like, and all this. No more foreign territory, no more uncharted waters. And then you go into, your year 4, and it's all, it's everything is Super Bowl or bust. You're one of those teams. Because I don't think they're in the Eagles-Niners era yet. I don't think they're there. I don't think that they're a Super Bowl or bust type candidate. And, when we say that, it's like, a team that could go out at the trade deadline and just be a little careless, or do something in free agency that's just, let's load up for this year and see what happens. Like, they're not there. But, I mean, if you look around the NFC, those two in front are just about it. And Dallas's defense has got a lot of good players on it, but Lions offense is far more potent than anything Dallas has done this year. So that's how I would look at that. I mean, they're number 3 in their own conference, but, I don't know. They're rising, and it's hard to ignore.
Yeah, and if you could make it all the way to the Super Bowl, you might ruin Ben Johnson's ability to interview for jobs, and you might get him for another year.
That's a bad job or something.
Yeah, that's really the key. Nick, I appreciate you, man. I always enjoy chatting. Hope to do it again soon.
You bet, Graham. Anytime.
That is Nick Baumgardner, senior writer for The Athletic. Always fun to catch up with him. And, man, it's just weird to talk about the Lions in these terms. Like,
is Baumgardner the last person to hear your injury take?
Probably.
I mean, dude.
Yeah, sorry.
Everybody knows it. Now that Baumgardner's heard it. But you're right. It is weird.
I don't think my mother's heard it. Tomorrow's walk. We'll
definitely tell her.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. It is definitely weird to see, these ESPN shows that I have on in the background and seeing top ranked. Here's my top 5, like Stephen A. And number 1 is the Lions. And I wish it could just slow down with this kind of talk, but whatever. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Hey, man, it wasn't that long ago we were doing this show and you were like, I'm dead inside.
I understand.
So,
Listen, I'm not saying I'm not trying to enjoy it. It's just, hearing you guys and the playoffs and, we just need to win a playoff. All right, I'm here. I'm ready to do it.
I mean, I remember the last playoff win. I mean, my voice had not changed yet. I was, just turned 12 years old.
How am I going to handle a playoff game, though?
Not well.
No caffeine that day.
I can't, yeah. I mean, I can't even, if they win it.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun around here. Watch, Michigan State's going to have some dumbass basketball game on that day. Last year, I remember that there was all these conflicts with the playoffs. They're going to have to work on that with the schedule because if you want to challenge an empty crowd at Breslin Center, give the Lions a playoff game during a Michigan State basketball game and see what happens. People are that desperate and that invested and that curious about the Lions. I think.
Well, Tom better not be mad if people have their phones out watching the game on their phone, right?
Yeah, including the guys covering the team. Because it's going to be the worst quick takes you've ever read. All right, when we come back, we'll talk with Harry Gagnon. We'll pick the games here. Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask and Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask and Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at gomuskox.com, where Couch and the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Medawar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Medawar Jewelers and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Medawar's by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Medawar Jewelers.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, our Tuesday night show presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar just north of Frandor on East Saginaw in Lansing. It is time to pick the games presented by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. And for that, the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal and, of course, the Ringer. Harry, how you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? How's that?
Jared Goff. It's great to not be dead inside, Harry. It's great to root for a great football team.
And you know what? You know what? I can't. You guys got to be on cloud 9. And is it me, or does it? I know you went to the Green Bay game, Jay, but does it seem like after this Tampa game that just more and more Detroit Lions fans are invading opposing teams' facility and just taking over?
Well, there was a lot of fans at Lambeau. It really surprised me, that game. But so I kind of expected. I did see the Lions fan plane go down to Orlando to go to the Tampa game. So I was expecting a lot of fans to be there. So it doesn't surprise me. But a lot of people are saying, Graham, that the Tampa Bay win is the turning point. I disagree. Not just because I was there, boys. The Green Bay game was a turning point for me.
Well, I also think at the end of this year, as stories and documentaries are made, if things go well, the road show that is the Lions. I mean, people have been so desperate for so long for this, and our
fans would go when we were ass. So it's
but now it's like this is fun. But this is fun. Yeah, so it's
now it's fun, right? Now it's fun.
All right, well let's get into some of these games before we get to the NFL and the Lions.
Here's what's not fun.
We'll get into this one here. Michigan. Minus 24.5 at Michigan State. And we've talked about this a little bit. I don't see any way Michigan State wins this game. And so on some sports books, you will find a money line. And if you want to throw that in a parlay, I would say that's probably not a bad play. You probably isn't good for your soul if you're a Michigan State fan, so you might not do that. In terms of the line itself, at 24.5, I wouldn't advise people to bet it either way just because we've seen this rivalry be one where it looks like something is a mismatch and it doesn't wind up covering a massive spread. But I would definitely, if I had to lean one way, would lead Michigan just because of what they have done to inferior competition, even on the road. It'll be an interesting atmosphere at Spartan Stadium. Give me Michigan here for the purposes of our conversation. Jason?
I just don't know if this will be the time where Harry finally picks against Michigan. So for that simple fact, I know he's not going to. Give me MSU in the 24 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
You know what's funny? I've been on Michigan all year, and they didn't cover the beginning of the season. They've been covering a lot lately. But, I know Michigan State's really, really down, and they've just got a lot of questions dealing with this team moving forward. But isn't this their Super Bowl?
It
Isn't
is.
this their Super Bowl? I mean, everything else the rest of the season, who cares? At least at home here, don't embarrass yourself. Lose by 3 touchdowns, but cover the 24.5. I'll take the Spartans.
What? This is the week where he doesn't take Michigan?
It's incredible.
It's been too easy. It's been too easy for the Wolverines. Let's get at least Michigan State within 17 late in the third, right?
No, I can see a 31-10 blowout if that makes sense. I can see that game, and you know it is. And listening to the Michigan State players today, they are very much. This is the season. They understand. This is a one-game season in a lot of ways. For that reason, I am telling you already, the Gophers next week against Michigan State would be a good pick, whatever the spread is. But I think this week is the last stand. There's a lot that goes into it. They think they're a decent football team. They've obviously made a ton of mistakes that have cost them the last 2 games. But I can see, I can see MSU doing this. I'm on Michigan here, but Jason,
is it because
Harry
Harry said that? I was just trying to offset Harry. He threw me.
No, I'm on Michigan.
I understand that. Well, I thought you were going to change your pick.
I'm going to stay on Michigan for our purposes because I think if you were to play this game at Spartans, and again, you're only playing it once, but if you were to play this game with all these dynamics 10 times, I think Michigan covers this spread 7 of them. And
why don't we just tease Michigan State with Brentford?
Oh, I have some Premier League stuff for you in a minute, Harry.
Okay,
I do.
I'm waiting.
A little too much. The international break is dangerous for me. It gives me like 2 weeks to ponder. All right, next game, really good game. Unfortunately, at big noon because Fox's ass. Penn State +4 at Ohio State. I think there's a chance that Penn State's just the better team than Ohio State, and I think this is still a little brand recognition, a couple points for being home. I get all that. Don't hate a sprinkle, but love it. Love the 4 points. Penn State getting the 4. Where are you, Jason?
The 4 looks like a trap, but James Franklin has covered 6 of the last 7 games against Ohio State, so give me that 4 in Penn State. What do you got, Harry?
It does look like a trap, but boy, you know what? Can we get a game in the Big Ten that's good, that really is between 2 good teams? Let's have a game that's close and not a blowout by all the 3 teams that are really good. We got 2 good teams here. I want to take the +4 too. Maybe this game's a field goal game. Give me the Lions before.
You got one last week. Oregon-Washington was a great game. Those are 2 Big Ten teams.
Well, if you want a great game, how about the next game?
Right.
Well, no, yeah, there are only 3 good teams in the Big Ten, and 2 of them are playing each other this week. Yeah. 2 of the other teams, maybe the best team in the West, and thankfully the West is disappearing after this year. Minnesota +4 at Iowa. I'm going to tell you right now, Minnesota's winning this fucking game. Because, and Minnesota's not good, but neither is Iowa. And there's been so much. We talk about publicity. This team's getting a little too much love. Iowa is getting all the love this week as this team that's going to finish 11-1 despite not having an offense. Iowa sucks. Michigan State is as good as Iowa. Probably better than Iowa. We saw Michigan State on the road at Iowa outplay Iowa for 3.5 quarters. If they had certain discipline and focus and better coaching in situations, Michigan State wins that game like they should have at Rutgers too. Michigan State might win the Big Ten West. That's how bad the Big Ten West is right now. This Michigan State team might win it. Give me Minnesota right now because everybody's talking about Iowa, and Iowa just beat Wisconsin, who's stupidly gone to the run-and-shoot offense after 3 decades of something else that worked. Give me Minnesota here and +4, partly because Iowa, even if they win, it might be 7-3. Jason?
2 teams that are terrible against the spread. The only reason to watch this is to watch Brian Ferentz's life flash before his eyes. Iowa ranked 133rd out of 133 teams offensively. Give me Minnesota and the 4. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm going to take Minnesota too. I already bet them, and Graham, I already took them earlier this week on the money line. It doesn't. The line doesn't seem right. Wouldn't it? With Iowa being home, I just think they should be more than 4. If this game was at Minnesota, I could see Iowa being -3, -3.5. But the game's in Iowa City, and they're only a 4-point favorite. This game is very fishy to me spread-wise. I'm on the Gophers with you guys.
Well, they won last week with only 70-some yards passing. So maybe that's something to it. I don't know. I'm with you. I'm with you guys.
I mean, 4 for Iowa is like 14 for anybody else. Speaking of 14, I don't get this line here. I know Florida State's good. Duke +14 at Florida State. Is there an injury I don't know about? And maybe there is. There's something because Duke is not a bad football team. For Duke, I mean, Florida State's really good, but Duke just beat up on NC State last week. They lost to Notre Dame, which looked pretty good. I think we can all agree against USC. They lost to Notre Dame by a touchdown. This is a good Duke. This is not a bad Duke football team. 14 points for this Duke football team is too many. I'm not saying Florida State can't cover it, but I'll gladly take the 14. Jason, where are you?
And Mike Elko listens to the show,
yes.
Allegedly.
There we go.
Duke's defense only giving up 10 points per game. Dude, give me the 14. I like the under as well, the 49 and under. And maybe sprinkle? You sprinkle a money line thing here? I don't get this either, but give me Duke plus the 14. What do you got, Harry?
I think Riley Leonard's still the starting quarterback in that Notre Dame game. Is still out for Duke. So
okay. Well,
I'm gonna take Florida State here just because I tell you what, I at the beginning of the season I gave out Michael Penix Jr. and Jordan Travis for Heisman Trophy. Travis is having a fantastic season, 17 touchdowns, just one pick. A little behind in the Heisman because he doesn't put up the super numbers that Penix does. But I still think Florida State rolls here. Duke's still hurting.
Yeah, I just looked that up. Riley Leonard's been will he play against Duke? It's still up in the air, so who knows? But it's not, whatever. It's that's not great. I may hold off on that now.
I still like it.
You still like it? All right,
yep.
Good. All right, last college game, Tennessee +9 at Alabama. And a year ago, this is like, I don't know, a game that was like can't miss television. Now it's like a Big Ten West game. I don't know. I don't know that I'm all that interested in it. Nonetheless, Tennessee is okay. They're just okay. Joe Milton is in. Yeah, he's okay. Nothing amazing. Beat a average Texas A&M team that's unranked last week, 20-13. But I don't think Alabama is very good. And to me, anything in the 9 point range, I think Alabama is going to beat them like 17-10 or something like that in that range. And I'll take Tennessee for our purposes +9. Jason?
I have a question for you guys that just requires a yes or no. Is Joe Milton the best quarterback in this game? Yes or no?
I'll say that's hard because he's not very good. I'll say yes.
All right. Give me Tennessee plus the 9. Harry, what do you got?
Revenge from last year here when Tennessee upset Alabama. Bama had a scare last week with KJ Jefferson, who had a really nice second half. Almost pulled that upset against Alabama. Tennessee, again, just kind of average on offense. Maybe Alabama shows up a little bit better than they did last week against the Hogs. I'm going to take the Crimson Tide.
All right, on to the NFL. Lions +3 at Baltimore. Still, I mean, getting points because the NFL, you don't get 3 anymore in the NFL. It's pretty clear they've changed that. It's only about it's maybe 2.5 points for home field. They realize it doesn't matter as much. So people looking at Baltimore is the better team. If this is a tough spot, at some point the Lions will lose a game. It happened to the 49ers and Eagles last week. You come to that game where shit just goes wrong. You could see Lamar Jackson having a big day or something. There's going to be a go-wrong game, and it doesn't mean the end of the season, but it's going to happen. But until it happens, I'm sorry, the Lions are a really good team, and the Lions are getting points. I'm on the Lions. Jason, where are you?
I mean, in past years, yes, you would see this game, and if in the Stafford years, and you'd go, yes, this is a loss. But this is different now, and you're getting 3 points with what everybody's claiming to be one of the dominant teams, not in just the NFC, boys, the NFL. Give me the Lions plus the 3. What do you got here?
Yeah, look, back-to-back road games, but so what? I don't love what I'm seeing out of Lamar Jackson. This Lions team is something else, and especially on defense, I think they're going to give Lamar Jackson a ton of trouble. I'm going to take the Lions too, guys.
All right, next game's a really good game. Dolphins +2 at Eagles, a game to watch for sure. I was a little concerned by what I saw from the Eagles last week. I'm going to chalk it up to one game, but it didn't like what I saw out of the offense at all. And I think if the weather's decent this time of year still, I think the Dolphins are a little bit of a higher ceiling offense. I don't know. I think there's a lot of recency bias right here, but the Dolphins +2, I like it. I probably shouldn't, and I'll probably lose this game, but I just have this gut feel the Dolphins win this game. Jason, where are you?
I did look at the weather for this game. 50, kind of cloudy, nothing crazy, maybe some winds out of the southeast. We'll have to ask Chris Eastlick for that. But if you're going to give me the Dolphins offense, +2, I got to take it. What do you got here?
Yeah, Graham, I feel the same exact way you do about this game. It's probably the wrong side. I'm going to take the Dolphins. If Sirianni just runs the ball with DeAndre Swift last week against the Jets and they punt, they probably win the game instead of throwing that interception. His third one of the game did hurt. But, Philly could have lost a couple other games this year where they pulled it out late somehow. But Miami just looks that much better offensively than Philadelphia. Philly didn't run the ball at all last week. I want to take Philly in a bounce-back game here, but Miami's got too much offense. Mostert looks fantastic. And in my fantasy league with Cousin Sal, I'm 5-1, and I'm so proud that I picked Mostert in like the 8th round, who's been the MVP of fantasy league. So give me the Dolphins.
All right, last NFL game, 49ers plus 6.5 at the Vikings. And the Vikings are not a good team. And I know they've lost Jefferson now at receiver. But the 49ers, there's some real questions here. And I know the Browns are a defense of a different specimen, and that's part of it. But, they lost, Trent Williams, their left tackle, Christian McCaffrey, and Deebo Samuel. That's a lot to lose. That changes who you are. You're on the road. And, are the 49ers are 6.5-point favorites, I should say, right? This is not an underdog. I wrote that down wrong for us. 6.5-point favorites at the Vikings. That's too many points in the NFL on the road with that many questions, and a quarterback to this point has been able to take advantage of weapons, some of which he doesn't have. I'm on the Vikings here, Jason.
I did look at the injuries. I think a lot of the guys are going to play. I mean, it's a Tuesday, so you have to wait and see if McCaffrey.
Oblique? I don't know if he's going to play that,
yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm saying if those guys end up playing, or two of them, I really like the 49ers. I just don't trust Cousins even at home. So for this, give me the 49ers minus 6.5. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, this is a tough one because you want to take it. Monday night game. You want to take the Vikings with the 6.5 in a close game. But boy, all it takes is one or two defensive plays by the Niners to wipe out that spread, and Minnesota gets screwed again. Boy, a tough one. I'm gonna take the Vikings still. I'm gonna take the Vikings. Let's see a good game on Monday.
And it's one of those things too that, if anybody is going to bet this, I would wait and see who's playing, Sunday, Monday, and not jump on this line early.
How does Harry not have a spite bet for the Vikings? I mean, last year he was all over them. He hated the Vikings.
I know, but boy, 2 weeks ago when I was on him against Kansas City, boy, the referees really gave us that was a stupid job. So in a game like this, I don't know. It's just tough. I mean, Niners Purdy could be fantastic, playing back in the Midwest. But I'll take the Vikings. I don't know. Tough one.
All right, I am going to lose everybody some money this week, Harry. I got some parlays from the Premier League. It's back. The international break.
Well, before you lose their attention, can I give my parlay?
Oh yeah. You go first.
We lose the audience.
Yes. Okay.
All right, Harry. We got the USC money line against Utah. I mean, they're not going to win back-to-back games, right? Duke plus 14, which we talked about. I still like it even if Leonard doesn't play. And Tennessee, an alternate line. The spread's 9. I liked it at 10 even more for plus 364. My 3-leg parlay. Go ahead, Graham.
Okay. I like that. I like the plus money. Yeah, this is less. Well, there's some plus money here. Favorite.
However, by the way, before you get, just if I could for 1 second.
Yeah.
Just in case, after last week's 3 interception, under 200-yard performance by Caleb Williams, is he now tanking? Maybe.
Try not to be number one?
Try not to be number one?
Would he have to tank? You can just throw your middle finger in the air and take your $3.5 million you're getting off NIL. I mean, why would you have to tank?
The problem is you don't know who's going to be the number one pick right now, right? I mean, the Bears could the Bears have to give. Wait, no, the Bears could get it right because the Panthers,
two. They might have like 1 and 2.
Might have the Panthers. The 49ers could wind up down there. The Patriots. I mean, I just don't know that if you're him, you know yet which team is going to be down there for you. That's the hard. That's the hard part.
5 of the 6 games for Utah this year, they've given up 14 points or less. They might not have an offense, but they got one heck of a defense. Just saying.
So are you saying Utah? You're on Utah against USC.
I'm actually on the under 55.5. I'm actually on the under. Yeah.
Under 55.5. Okay, I like it. Then I will be on.
Jay can win it. Jay can win it with a money line bet. He can win that one.
No, well, you had a nice compliment from one of our listeners, Michelle, the other day, who said you have been winning her money this year. So
thank you, Michelle.
We appreciate your insight as always. Here I will help you lose your money with this 4-leg Premier League parlay. all favorites to win coming off this international fucking break. I wish all of the international soccer would go away so we could just have club soccer. Tottenham at home against Fulham, minus 205. Parlayed with Man City at home against Brighton, minus 270. Newcastle at home against Crystal Palace, 245. Liverpool at home against Everton, minus 295. And that pays $50. A $50 bet for that would pay $192. It's a nice payout. Now you need, it just takes one of those things to go wrong, but you can split them up. You go Liverpool and Tottenham, $100, it pays even money, right? So you can do that. Liverpool and Tottenham, or Newcastle, Man City pays about all those pay even money pretty much if you split them up any which way you like. So I would, I of course splitting them up 10 different ways and putting them all together, and we'll reap the rewards or the grief that comes with it. But that is my Premier League suggestion for this week. Yeah, there's some good games. We don't always get a week like this, and I don't know. I also think there's some money to be made on Man City right now, futures, because of what's happened to them. You can get them around minus 135 on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app to win the Premier League, and you're not going to get them that low again. I think if you like Man City still as the team that's most likely to be the most consistent throughout the year, it's as close to even money as you'll get them to win the Premier League. I think that's a good futures bet. That's
nice.
Everybody masturbates.
I got a teaser for you guys.
Okay.
NFL. Graham, how about this? Colts plus 9.5 over Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland beat San Francisco. I get it. But teams after playing San Francisco in the last 20 games are 2-18 straight up. Let's see the Colts get Jonathan Taylor more involved. Colts plus 9.5 with the Atlanta-Tampa Bay game to go under 45.5 as a 7-point teaser. 4 straight games Atlanta scored 21 points or less, and in all 5 Buccaneers games so far this season, their games have landed under 45. Only one of them has hit the 40s. So Atlanta-Tampa Bay under 45.5, Colts plus 9.5. How about that one?
I like it. I'm not, Harry, you got to understand, I count on you to make back the money that I lose every week from my own bet. So
there we go. I really like that teaser. I mean, the Colts kind of laid an egg, came back a little bit last week against Jacksonville, but now they've lost. They're 0-2 against the Jags this year. But I think the Colts bounce back, and I think Minshew bounces back at home and plays decent. I like the plus 9.5, and again, I like the under in Atlanta, Tampa Bay.
You are a beautiful man, Harry. Hopefully we'll do this again next week and make some more money.
Keep rolling, guys. Thanks. Say it.
I love you. You played the everybody masturbates drop. I
thought you said that. You actually said that, didn't you?
Did I? Oh,
no.
Yeah. I hope not.
Really fix that.
We appreciate all of you listening. And thanks to Front 43 and Cask & Company. Go to caskandcompany.com. Check out their menu or just swing on by. Great place to watch games this weekend. If you want to hang out, watch games before the Michigan State game, you don't have your own tailgate or you'd rather be there so you can watch other things, great spot to do so. Great spot for the Lions or Sunday football as well. We will be back with Groovy Donut Twitter questions later this week. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch of the Roof.